This is a 2026 Polestar 4, a new crossover SUV coupe-ish machine from Polestar that has 2 rows, 2 motors, and no rear windshield. And regular viewers will be able to tell right away that I am not on my usual route. I am not in my usual state. I am a guest of Polestar outside of Austin, Texas to try this new Polestar 4 out. And so far, it's been pretty darn interesting. There are 2 powertrains, a single rear motor version and a dual motor all-wheel drive version. I am lucky enough to be in the dual motor version, and that means I can do things like this and get that beautiful, immediate electric motor response and a lot of it. But aside from its powertrain, is this Polestar 4 compelling as a vehicle? Let's find out. I review all kinds of cars, and I have fun every time. Please subscribe and join me. I will put the base price of the single motor Polestar 4 up on the screen for you to see right now. It's less expensive than the Polestar 3. It's a more recent vehicle than the Polestar 3, but not a vehicle above the Polestar 3. With that said, I'll put the price of the Polestar 4 dual motor up on the screen. All right, with that, now is a good time for me to pull over and show you around and inside this brand new Polestar. Looking at the front of the car, it's pretty darn wide. You can see that it's visually wide, but it's also actually wide. And you have a lot of sensors and things right in front, but then otherwise a really nice clean look. I like the size of the Polestar logo and its placement. There's so many logos that are ending up on the front grille and just large and overwrought up here. Instead, up here what you have is clean body color right here, and then the front camera, and then the sensors down here, down low in a place that doesn't bother me. Polestar went with this bifurcated headlight setup, and I think they did a really good job. You have this upper panel right here that goes up, and then the lower panel here that goes down. You can see these are DRLs here, and more like turn signal, that kind of thing. And then you have the main beams are actually tucked down low down here, and then this tiny little vent right here, that is a real vent to help channel air through the front wheel and prevent a high pressure zone coming from the front wheel well. And yes, this is an electric car with a frunk, but not a very big frunk actually. You have this huge massive space under the hood, and then right in the middle, except not quite in the middle, it's a little bit off-centered, this tiny little space right here. Maybe that's a cubic foot or 2. It's not very much space. Looking at the Polestar 4 in profile, it's very much a sedan looking kind of thing, but it is just barely tall enough that I will excuse the fact that they call it a crossover SUV coupe. You can see it definitely has that sloping roof line all the way down to the rear of the car. Front view camera, side view camera, rear view camera, all right here, repeated on the other side. Also, it likes to tell you very clearly that we have a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack and 400 kilowatts of power. And you can see that we have the CCS or the SAE style port right here, not the NACS port, but there will be an adapter for it. And here's a nice little indicator of charge status. I will go ahead and put the dimensions up on the screen for you to check out and let you know that I have more information in the description. Standard wheel size on the Polestar 4 is a 20-inch wheel. This has 21-inch wheels. You can go all the way up to a 22-inch wheel. Looking at the rear of the car, here's where things get really interesting. We do not have a rear windshield. It's just not there. We don't have anything. We have a beam of light right there. We have this glass roof right there that takes the full cabin glass roof. And then we also have multiple cameras right there, but no rear windshield. And that means we're relying solely on cameras to see what's behind the car. But as I showed you, it is an elaborate set of cameras, and it does actually work quite well. Polestar says that allowed them to give more space to the second row. Let's check that out in a moment. But first, push the button and lift to show that we have a healthy amount of cargo space right here. We do also have 12-volt charge port style power right there. Nice little net right here. And then under the floor, ooh, we actually have a few inches of additional space down low. And then obviously deep space down here, currently occupied by the charging cable. I'm really running out of time, but as you can see, there is a 60-40 split in the seats, so you can fold the seats down as well for more space. And this little bit comes down and does give you exposure to the cabin. That's interesting. But for now, let's check out that second row. As you can see, we've got this nice cloth-like material on the door here. We do have a nice sound system, but look at this. This does look like a generous amount of space and a nice place. I am 5'11" or 181 centimeters tall, and I do have a decent amount of knee room right there. I am a little pinched for toe room down there, but I do believe the front seats will lift, and that will probably help that. The seat bottoms aren't quite as high as I hoped, but they're not too bad, and they're also tilted back a little bit, so it's actually more comfortable than I expect at first. Put that all together, and I have right around a 90-degree bend in my knees, maybe just a touch more. I do have headroom, lots of it. I do also have a 5.7-inch screen for additional climate control and media settings and stuff like that. And I do, of course, have this center armrest with a good amount of padding here. Oh, and we do have a couple of USB Type-C ports right there as well. All right, let's go to the front. Usual controls on the door right here, and as you can see illustrated, space for a water bottle right there. A little bit worse for wear on the door, but whatever. You can see we do have plenty of controls on the seat, and that does include lifting the seat up. So yes, can confirm you get more toe room if you need it. We do also have adjustable thigh support, which is always appreciated, and plenty of lumbar adjust as well. We have a more than 10-inch digital instrument cluster right there, and a 15.4-inch landscape mounted center display right there. And this, like other Polestars, does use the Android Automotive OS system. It's Google's system. It works really well. As you can see, this is what we see out of the rear windshield. If I turn it off, this is what we see. And if I set it up to be adjustable, suited for how I would have a typical rear view mirror, you can see that all I can see is the rear seats and white, nothing there. It's a little bit underwhelming, if I'm honest, on its own. However, put the Polestar in reverse and look at this beautiful 360-degree view of what's around the car. That is high def, really nice, easy to see. And then this really nice backup camera view to get a real good sense of what's immediately behind the car. Put the car in drive, and we get a forward view very similar. What the Polestar lacks in terms of glass to see through, it more than makes up for with various camera views. I'm actually really impressed with that. I'll quickly show you that we do have a wireless charge pad right here. We do have a physical volume and play button knob right there, couple of cup holders, and then lower center console storage here with a couple of USB Type-C ports. We also have a lot of adjustments on the screen. See, we have this whole panel for shortcuts. We also have this whole panel for driving the car. The Polestar does not have drive modes per se, but individual adjustments to make for the driving effects of the car. And that ranges from, will it creep forward like an old school automatic transmission internal combustion engine car, hill descent control, stability control, but also your throttle map, your accelerator map, how quickly you get power when you apply the throttle, steering weight, suspension feel, and how aggressive you want one pedal driving. We also have climate control options. You can physically tell where you want the air to vent using the touch screen. Back to vehicle, we also have assist modes and then a lot of other options here. Oh, by the way, we do have the optional head-up display as well. But we are on a time crunch, and I am much more interested to tell you about what it's like to drive. So let's get back to the drive. All right, let's dig into the powertrain. As I said, we are in the dual motor Polestar 4. That means I have 400 kilowatts worth of power to play with. I believe that translates to 544 SAE horsepower, US spec horsepower. I also have 506 pound-feet of torque to play with. That is split between the front and the rear motor. If you get the dual motor Polestar 4, you get the same size motor in front as you do in back. If you get the single motor version of the Polestar 4, it is a rear wheel drive vehicle, and you get half the power, half the torque. But you do get the same battery pack, which is a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, and that does equate to more than 300 miles of range for the single motor for the rear wheel drive version of the Polestar 4. I think we're in the high 200s, like 280-ish for the dual motor Polestar 4. And while I don't have different drive modes per se, I do have a drive adjustment screen that allows me to adjust different aspects of driving individually. I really appreciate that. I like the idea that I can adjust one specific attribute of the driving to be more sporty or less sporty without affecting the others. I like a more linear accelerator pedal. I like a slower pedal. But I also like a firmer suspension and a heavier steering. Heavier steering, for me at least, allows me to be more precise. I can adjust all of that individually right there. There is a sport mode in one sense, and that is the electric stability control. If you want to be able to spin the tires up a little bit more, Polestar does call that sport mode. The one key attribute to think about when we're talking about drive modes is power delivery. I have it in the range power delivery mode right now. I floor the accelerator, and I get eventually a lot of pull, but it ramps up. It's very smooth and progressive to give you that buildup of power. A little atypical for what you'd expect from an electric motor, especially one with more than 500 horsepower. But all I have to do is change it to performance, which I can do during the drive, no problem. Floor the accelerator again, and yes, immediate, copious amounts of pull right there. You feel the horsepower right away, and you feel the torque right away, and it feels really good. I love electric motor response, and Polestar, I think, they are among the best, if not the best, at delivering that electric response. The second you want it, you got it. And that makes passing on a 2-lane really easy, and that makes, surprising your passengers pretty easy as well. It's a fun parlor trick, if nothing else. Okay, but I am still in the performance mode, and I do want to do a quick acceleration test, and this looks like as good of a spot as any. Coming to a complete stop. Floor the accelerator. Yes, very, very good. And even a bit of wheel spin to get us going. How about that? And that is a good time for me to mention that Polestar defaults to rear-wheel drive, even with the all-wheel drive Polestar 4s. Polestar says that we will get to 60 miles an hour in 3.7 seconds from rest in the Polestar 4. And based on that, I believe it. This being an electric car, of course, we have off accelerator deceleration, off accelerator braking to charge the battery up. The Polestar is, of course, no exception, and we do have, again, 3 different levels of it. If I go to vehicle, then to drive, I can choose between off, so just coasting, low, and standard. Starting it off, lift off the accelerator, yeah, feels just like any gasoline car, just coasting. Switch to low. On the throttle again, lifting off, and I would say it ramps up a little bit to about 1/10 of a G of deceleration. Definitely not one pedal driving levels. But the third level is called standard, and that is meant to be a one pedal driving setting. Try that. Off the accelerator. Oh yeah, and that ramps in. We're probably at a good 2/3 of a G of decel now. That is worthy one pedal driving. It's not as strong as Chevrolet or GMC gets with their EVs, with their one pedal driving, but it is a good level. And I did actually drive with it in the standard mode around more city-like things, and it will do one pedal driving to a complete stop. And critically, Polestar modulated the pedal so that you can decelerate as little as you want or as much as you want. You don't have to get the full deceleration. So now I'm still in the standard driving mode and I'm getting about 1/10 of a G of decel because I'm still have my foot on the accelerator pedal. Then when I lift it off completely, then I get the full deceleration. All right, let's dig into the chassis. We do have an adjustable suspension on the Polestar. If we go back to the vehicle and to drive, we have 3 levels of suspension feel, is what Polestar calls it: standard, nimble, and firm. Standard is the softest setting, nimble in the middle, firm for the stiffest setting. We're currently in the nimble setting, and that feels perfectly comfortable for everyday driving, but we can go 1 level stiffer. And yes, you do feel that right away. You feel a little bit more shake in the car and definitely less body roll. I also have the steering wheel in the heaviest of the 3 adjustments there. So those 2 combined, if I turn the wheel, oh yeah, I get a little bit of body roll, but really quick response from this Polestar 4. It has a very direct relationship from my inputs to the front end reacting, so that's nice to see. This is not a light vehicle. It can't be with a 100 kilowatt hour battery, but all the weight is very, very low, so that certainly helps. We have a plenty low center of gravity, and the suspension does feel more responsive than I would have expected for what Polestar themselves call a crossover SUV coupe. So this is meant to be a crossover of sorts, and yet, yeah, nice dynamic feel in the car. But again, if we go to the standard suspension setting, turn the wheel around a little bit, yeah, the body control feels pretty similar, but the inputs in the steering compared to what the car does is very different. It's much more delayed, it's much softer, it's a much calmer experience, and actually, yeah, there is more body roll if you really start to feel it out. Having that adjustment built into the car and having it so easy to adjust while you're going is nice. So generally, this is a very nice riding, pleasant experience car, but if you firm everything up, it feels pretty responsive as well. Of course, I did get a chance to drive it on the interstate for a little while. Let me show you that. Not an interstate, but I do have a state highway that I'm about to drive on, so that'll give us a taste of what the Polestar is like at sustained high speeds. This is a state highway. We have a double lane in the middle, but it's also a 70-mile-an-hour speed limit. So I have the cruise control set to 75 miles an hour to go with traffic. This is pretty much interstate speeds. And at that speed, you can hear that wind noise is really well controlled in the Polestar. I am quite happy with the work Polestar did to keep wind noise out of this car. You can hear just a little bit around the side view mirrors, but there's no buffeting or whistling or anything like that around. It's a nice and quiet cabin. Road noise is a little bit more average, but again, that's partially due to the fact that there's no engine to dampen out the road noise at all. So overall, I'm very impressed with the quietness of this cabin. This is really nicely done by Polestar. And just like on the other roads, the suspension is plenty soft. This is kind of a bumpy little patch of pavement here, and it's still perfectly comfortable in here. We're bouncing around a little bit, but nothing about it is at all jarring. And on top of that, the seats are comfortable and all the interface is easy to use. So yeah, fantastic interstate car. Oh, and I have 70% of battery life left, and we've been driving for a while. The battery is holding up just as expected considering where we started. So yeah, great experience. So what do I think of this first drive of this 4th Polestar, the Polestar 4? There is a lot to like here. Polestar did some really interesting things with this model. To have no rear windshield and rely solely on a camera for the rear view mirror, that was a little bit unsettling. But in addition to the rear view camera, we have a 360-degree view camera system in the car, and that's really high end. That works really well. So between the two, I'm actually completely comfortable there. Then, styling-wise, I think this Polestar is very, very nicely styled. I like Polestar designs generally, I was enamored with the Polestar 3 design. That was a beautiful, beautiful machine, and I think the Polestar 4 just continues on that same track. I do like the details and the other things that Polestar has implemented into its design signature, and I like to see more models keep coming like this. As far as the drive's concerned, the performance is there in a straight line to be sure, and the nimbleness in the suspension is there as well, though TBD on how that would really feel if you're on your favorite back road. But also, it's comfortable in this car. There's a lot of space in this car. Polestar did some really clever things to give you nice space in both the first and the second row. And in fact, that's why the rear windshield isn't there, to make the second row a more comfortable space, which I found fascinating. Given that and some other novel approaches to the way Polestar designed this car, I think there's a lot of strengths here. I think this is a comfortable car. I think it's a quick car. I think it's a beautiful car. And I think it is a convenient car as well. But it will take a little bit of getting used to. There's a lot of things to adjust in here. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you very much for watching.